What's going on? I am Cat of Perfection, once again coming back at you with another Tekken Tech Tips. And today we're going to be talking about frame data. What is frame data? How do I use it? Why do I use it? So in gaming, if you've been in the gaming space, if you come from shooters or anything else like that, you've probably heard of FPS, right? So you have your frames per second. So, and that's pretty much the same thing, the same concept. So if you look in the bottom left where it says attack startup frames, you'll see whenever I do a move, it gives you a number. And that number is the amount of frames that that move takes to start up, right? So it is very helpful to know that number, because when you know that number, it helps you know when to use that move. For instance, when you know something is punishable, right? So in Tekken, the fastest move, as a pretty general rule of thumb for pretty much everyone that you typically have, is your jab, right? That's usually your fastest move. It's 10 frames, or you see it in the bottom left, attack startup frames 10, right? So in Tekken, things start becoming punishable at when you have minus 10 frames. So for instance, right, if we do this, give me a second. If we do. I'm trying to not get the electric. Suffering from success right now. Oh my goodness. Okay. Here's what we'll do. We'll record this from the move list. Okay. Anyways, I had to cut that because I kept getting the electrics, which is usually a hard thing to do, but anyways, enough of that. The jab punish. Pretty much every character, your fastest punish is going to be your jab punish, right? So you see in the bottom left where it says plus 10. So at 10 frames, when you have 10 frames on your side, see, and if you look in the bottom right corner, this move is minus 10. It says frame advantage minus 10 for them. So that means that they have 10 frames that they need to recover from this move, and we have 10 frames of advantage that we can take advantage from this move. So we can use our jab punish. I'm using Reina for Reina's I-10 is what it's called, which means I-10 is basically, it has startup frames of 10. So we would just do, to punish, minus 10, we would do 1, 1, 2. Because this is her jab string, and this is all guaranteed when the first one hits. And the first hit, jab, for all characters, is I-10, which means it has 10 frames to start. Alright, so now maybe you don't know what your 10 frame punish is, right? Luckily for us, we have a very helpful community. So there's this Google spreadsheet that I will link in the description. That's very, very helpful. Even I use it a lot whenever I want to learn new characters. So right here, this is the Tekken 8 library. You'll see the notations, up, forward, all that good stuff, right? You'll see the legend down here for what everything means, all the terminology and whatnot. Now, what I want to look at, I want to go up here. I want to click whatever character that I'm learning and playing, and then I'm going to scroll down here to punishers, and then right here we just talked about startup frames, right? So your punishers, your startup frames, so 10 frame startup, your 10 frame punish, like we just said, is going to be 1, 1, 2. Or look at that, you can also use 1, 2, 2. If I wanted to learn another character, let's say I wanted to learn Jack's frame data, then I would go here, scroll down, start up, 10 frames, forward 2. See, so Jack is, it's not a jab, his is just forward 2 as his 10 frame punish. But that being said, I wouldn't just tunnel vision on this alone. I would, because you never know, you could find some like other punishes on there. That's why you need to know the frame data, because it could help you see some things that maybe some other people didn't see, you know. Maybe there's another 10 frame punish in there. If you just go through his move list and you see the startup frames, and then, you know, you see if the move is guaranteed, if it's, you know, you can figure out that for yourself. But for beginner stuff, I would just focus on whatever is here, and then once you like really get it down, then you can kind of start incorporating your own findings. So yeah, that's 10 frame, and then you see the rest. You'll have different moves, minus 11, startup 11. We don't have a startup 11 for Reina, so we have no 11 frame punish. So if, for instance, something was minus 11, then we would just use the one before that. So we would use our 10 frame punish. So if something was minus 11, we would use 112, or we would use 122, because we don't have an 11 frame punish. So you would do whatever your punish before that is. So before 11 is 10, so you would do the 10 frame punish. Alright, and so as a general rule of thumb, when something is minus 15 frames, that's when you can start launch punishing moves that are minus 15 or more. As a general rule of thumb, there's some characters that are an exception to that, and they need more frames to launch. But for most characters, it'll be minus 15 and you can launch, right? So for instance, let's say for instance a Rage Art. So Rage Art right there, you would see plus 15, minus 15. So we would need to launch this. So for Reina, our launch, our I-15 is down forward 2. And off of this, we would get a combo. So you always want to make sure, if you know something is minus 15 and it's punishable, you always want to make sure to be launching it. That way, you get all this damage. So when things are minus 15, minus 16, minus 17, minus 18, so on and so forth, you want to be launching those moves. So once you start really understanding your frames for your character, and for your character, then when you're in matches, you can kind of just figure out, you know, you can because you're not gonna know the obviously no one knows the frames for every single move in this game. There's so many moves in this game, right? So once you learn your punishes, then you can just test your punishes on the certain moves that you're seeing, right? So if I'm fighting another Reina, we're in a mirror match or something, right? And they do that. All right, and let's say I didn't have the frame data up right now, right, on the screen. Let's say I didn't know that I didn't see that this was minus 17, right? What I would do is this is what I would do. I would start from the smallest frame punish, right? So I would try my 10 frame punish. I'm like, oh, okay, my 10 frame punish works, so it's at least minus 10. And then I would try the next time they do it, I would try my next frame punish to see, right? This is my 12 frame punish. Oh, okay, it's minus 12. And then I would just keep going up and up and up, right? I would try, that's my 13 frame punish, right? And then I'm like, oh, let me try my 15 frame punish. Oh, this is launch. And then I would just be launch punishing it the rest of the time. Alright, so once you really start getting the hang of your punishment, right, and your frame punishes, you can start looking at and really focusing on your offensive pressure and your defensive pressure by understanding the small frames. So we know that 10 frames and more than 10 frames, all of that is unsafe. So when something is -9 or lower, so -9, -8, -7, that's all safe, but it gives up your turn, right? Most of the time it gives up your turn. So for instance, if I do 1-1, right? You see in the bottom left, I am -1, right? So if I'm -1, right? And then after if I try 1-1 and then I try 1 again after they block it, if they also do 1, if we both do the same move, they're gonna beat me out. So if I do 1-1, they beat me out right there, and they get a 25 damage off of it. Because I don't have enough frames, because I'm -1. So that basically turns my startup frame that should be a 10 frame startup, it turns it into an 11 frame startup because I need an extra frame right there to recover since we're -1. Now, but hear me out. What if they didn't do the same move? Jab is the fastest move in the game, right? Jab is the fastest move in Reina's moveset, right? So what if they did something slower? What if they did a down forward one? Now down forward one, Reina's down forward one, and typically most down forward ones, most of the time, they have a startup frame of 13 startup frames, right? So that's a whole extra 3 frames compared to a jab, which has 10 startup frames. And since we're -1, we would be, you know, you pretty much add it. So it's like, okay, we're -1. You add the 1 into recovery of the startup frame. So it would be a startup frame technically of 11 startup frames if we did the jab, right? Whereas if they did the down forward one, it would be a startup frame of 13 frames, right? But they have +1, so their technically startup frame would be I-12, and I-11 is less than I-12, so the I-11 would win. So the jab would win, right? So if we do, I have the bot set to do a down forward 1 after blocking, but if I do jab, I beat it. But if we do the down forward 1, then they beat us because once again, they have a frame faster than me right there. Now all that being said, with all this fancy talk about frame data and -1 and +1 and whatever, you don't have to guess, you know, you don't have to guess and throw out a move that you're throwing out just because you think it's faster. It's a 3D game. Sidestepping. You can sidestep moves, right? So if I do with this frame that, even though we're -1, right, there's still a lot of frames to sidestep there, right? So if we just literally just boom boom sidestep, we just avoid it completely. And look at that, we get a launch from back turn. Just from sidestepping with our -1. So that goes up to, for sure, I know at least -3. So if I do my down forward 1 by itself, my down forward 1 is -3. And then I sidestep. I could still sidestep. So up to -3 at least. If I do -4, I don't think... Yeah, it's really hard for me to sidestep. I can't sidestep at -4. So, so if I wanted to do like you know, down forward 1, sidestep. If I noticed that they were doing something linear all the time after I did down forward 1, then, you know, that's kind of how I like to think of how to use sidestep. But I think that's gonna be it for this Tekken Tech tips. Hopefully this didn't end up too long. I didn't do this one on stream because I felt like this one needed a lot more of my attention and needed to be, you know, it was a little more complicated than the other ones. But hopefully this helped. I think I covered everything. If y'all have any more questions in the comments, let me know. Or if you want to let me know what I missed. Yeah, that's Tekken Tech tips. The plan for the next video is how to lab. I've had a couple people ask for me to make a video on that, so that'll probably be the next one. But that's frame data. That's how to use it, when to use it, why we use it. Much love. Appreciate y'all for stopping by. God bless. See you next time. Bye.